Rate and subscribe.
That's one of the things that I'm like, I guess you could say I'm most, I don't know, what's the word, happy with in terms of music, like all the friendships that I was able to create and cultivate
Oh, yeah.
for so many years, you know?
That's something I was thinking about. The fact that Up for Nothing almost created a small sub scene of bands in mid to South Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of bands I would have never gotten into if it wasn't for you guys, and I know a lot of great people because of it.
Definitely.
Step Aside.
Yeah.
You know,
The original Hopeless Romantic.
the original Freelance Romantic, but yeah.
Freelance, sorry.
That's a Bouncing Souls album. No, but God, it's like it's I was listening to Going Places for the first time the other day, which they're from Staten Island.
For the first time ever, or
no, for the first time in like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Dude, they have a new song out.
I know. They're still going, man. It's
dude,
like great.
All power to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The antithesis of punk rock, Brooklyn pop punk.
Yeah.
So or Staten Island rather. Close enough.
Yeah. But it's just like God, what, 15 years?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But for us, 2003 is now what, 18 years?
Yes.
15 years since that record, but 18 years since you.
That's right. There was another. Was that a demo that came out before that?
There was a demo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Far to Fall, I think. Yeah, Far to Fall.
Okay. Was you guys like so? What year? I know your first show was at the Temple. I want to say it was opening for Bigwig.
Our first show was not at the Temple. Our second show was at the Temple. Okay. Our first show was at a place called the Chapel. Close enough. But that was in Seagate in Coney Island. It's like a gated community within Coney Island. They did only a handful of shows in its lifespan, and then it got closed down for shows at least. But yeah, so we did that. A week later, we played the Temple. So it was November 9th and then November 16th at the Temple. But that Bigwig show was February the following year. So a couple months later. Yeah. And that was our third show. So we didn't play anything in between. We did Temple and then we did Temple again. Yeah. And that was our third show.
God, was the Chapel drawing like the same kind? Like
Yeah, it was the same. It was like anyone at that time, if there was a show in South Brooklyn, it would be packed with kids. Just because it was a time and place thing. And if there was going to be a show that wasn't at the Temple, but it was going to be somewhere else, that place would be just as packed as the Temple would be that day, So yeah, it drew very well, just because of, the era that it was in.
Yeah. Was it getting bands that were like on the cusp of breaking out big? Like I guess
the Temple, you mean?
No, the Chapel.
I mean, they didn't have it wasn't really a thing, to be honest. Like I remember having this is a really funny story, but having to book that place, you had to go through this woman, right? We had to go to her house, right? And at the time I was like 15 or 16, but this woman, you had to go to her house in Seagate, right? You had to sit down with her, and she had toddlers running around, and she was barefoot. The house was a mess. And she was an older, like, Christian woman. And, I remember me and like two other people, the other thing was somebody that was playing the show had to live in Seagate, or else the show couldn't happen. So I had to bring somebody who lived in Seagate just to drop that name and to be like, oh, this gentleman playing, and he's of the Seagate community, etc. But yeah, 15, 16, I had to sell this adult woman barefoot with toddlers about why we should set up a show at the chapel.
Oh my God.
And that's how it got done. So because of that hoop you had to jump through, not many people actually booked shows there, but I wanted to do it. So I'm like, yeah, I'll meet this woman and see what happens. But only a couple of shows happened there.
It wasn't to that extreme, but I think that's what the Scarsdale Teen Center was like. Like somebody in the band had to be from Scarsdale.
Yeah. It's very, very, very interesting.
Okay, so yeah.
Go ahead.
Like the temple, it always fascinated me because I've heard stories of bands that are now essentially iconic bands within the punk scene, like Dropkick Murphys, Wilhelm Scream. I think Taking Back Sunday, they played the temple the week before Tell All Your Friends came out.
Right.
Things happened for them, yeah.
They had World Inferno, Friendship Society as well, and Sugar Cult, and bands like that, like right at the cusp of them, like kind of exploding in a way,
Yeah.
Which was cool, man. It was cool to be a part of that. And it's very, like, looking back now, like I always tell my wife, like, there's nothing to do in South Brooklyn. Like that, it's so strange because, like, growing up, I grew up here, right? So I never felt like anything was lacking when I was growing up. Like, it felt like I had everything I needed. There was entertainment, there was friends, there was lots of things to do. There was bowling alleys and movie theaters. And slowly all of those things went away, including the friends, right? So like now I just feel so isolated out here. But I work in North Brooklyn and I live in South Brooklyn. So it's so drastic. The demographic, right? Like out here, like, we're in a very specific neighborhood that hardly anyone speaks English. I don't mean to like sound weird about that, but it's just a fact, like and it in a way it's cool that it's diverse like that, right? There are people who speak Russian and Chinese and Spanish and whatever, but it's like so different from how I grew up. And it's not until now that I'm realizing like that I feel like there's nothing to do here. There's no one to talk to. There's no entertainment, nothing. So weird.
I think a lot of that went digital in terms of like instead of like going to Blockbuster or Netflix, you have or you going to Blockbuster or the movies, you have Netflix.
Exactly.
And like friendships have gone a little bit more digital.
That's
whereas
true.
When I left,
look at us now, right?
Yeah, this is Oh, this is strictly a product of the pandemic. This is an experiment, but I'd like to do this in person, like once things reopen, which fingers crossed.
Soon enough, right?
Yeah. But
I got
you got vaccinated?
I got my first part, my first vaccine.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So my next one is February 16th.
No side effects so far?
For me, no. Cassie, my wife, got it. She has not had a good week. She's been sick a lot. She had a fever the next day, and then she just hasn't had her strength since it's like day 5 now, and she's still not feeling 100%. But I got it, and I had no issue at all.
Yeah. You both have been like able, like COVID free and all this?
Thank God, we have been, and we're both working in person through the whole thing too. So it's an extra layer of luck for us because we've been around people the whole time. We haven't had the luxury of like working from home at all.
Yeah, because that's something I do feel lucky in the sense temp jobs here and there. You're usually working in an office and doing comedy during the pandemic, which I don't exactly encourage people to do, but at the same token it's like I gotta keep my chops together. But it's true. Like I am grateful that I was able to get out and still practice social distancing, hand sanitizing, hook to open a door just before I hit the record on this, just before I logged into the Zoom meeting, I took my vitamin D, which I forgot to take early in the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. As long as what I've kind of gathered from this all is like, as long as you're safe, like you're safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You follow precautions and do what you need to do, like you'll be okay. You know, I think it's when people put their guard down that that can happen, you know.
It's easy to put your guard down.
It
but
is. It is. Yeah. Yep. And I think
like,
that's part of the problem. But yeah.
Yeah. Because not that I'm drinking not that I'm really drinking at all at this point, but like the one time I got drunk over the summer, it was just like, oh, I totally like, you forget there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Makes sense. Makes sense.
New Year's, which I just drank and was just shooting the with people on Zoom, and I stepped outside to go to a 7-Eleven, and like it just numbs a little bit. You sort of forget what's going on, and I could see like that was when I feared, am I going to get it?
And in LA, it's like horrible right now, right? Or
yes, not as bad as it was in New York back in the spring, but it's still. It's not encouraging, and the city feels like it just feels like a shell of its former self, which it'll pick up. Like you've been to LA before.
I've been to LA. I went to LA once. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys played the Up or Nothing played the Redwood.
The Redwood. Yep. Dang, how do you know that?
I vaguely remember because I remember going to the Redwood for the first time. I saw timeshares there the first time when I moved to LA, and I remembered, oh, this is the bar that Up or Nothing played at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After Awesome Fest.
That's right. Yep.
That's which
it's funny because when we played in LA, that was the end of August, and I hate the heat. Like I really I don't like. It is crazy hot in LA. So we had that show later that night. We were only in LA for one day. We had the show that night, and we got there early to try to like see LA a little bit and like walk around and like take in some of the sights. And
it's like 118.
We got like 2 blocks, and I was like, I tapped out. I'm like, I cannot walk in this anymore. And then we got in the car and went to get food.
It's a dry heat though. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Like I could deal with 120 here, but not 90 degrees and humid in New York.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like that's something I don't miss about New York. I don't miss the way it smelt when it got that hot.
The humidity, yeah.
With that humid, yeah.
Yeah.
Which like New York, does it seem like cleaner now? Because like I haven't been back in over September of 2019.
Yeah. I can't speak on Manhattan because I haven't really been in Manhattan at all. We went to see the Christmas tree, Rockefeller Center. But I know Manhattan is so desolate. This ain't like a shell of itself, like you were saying about LA.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brooklyn, I guess, is cleaner. It's just like there's just less people out. So
yeah,
I guess and
has its pros and cons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there was a very nice stretch like from March to May that I was like, if like I was able to go on drives if I just wanted to clear my head.
Right. Yeah.
And the freeways were clear.
Yep. That's the one thing I'll say over here too. Like I work in North Brooklyn. Like I said, it's a 10-mile drive from my house to where I work. Okay. It usually takes me an hour each way if I'm driving.
Wow.
Which is horrible to go 10 miles.
Yes.
But during the pandemic, during the height in the spring, like that time period you were talking about, I would get to work in like 18 minutes. And it was phenomenal. And I was like, this is so great.
There was a couple times I was driving for Uber back like right before I moved.
Yeah, I remember.
And like I would come back at like 2 into the city at 2 a.m. and like the streets of Manhattan would be clear.
Yeah.
Like it would just become my city.
Yeah. It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I don't know if it's the same in New York, but in LA, people are driving again, and it's like,
Mm.
Why is there so much traffic? Everything's closed.
Yeah. It's the same here now.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Traffic is exactly the way it was before the pandemic.
That sucks.
So, yep. So an hour each way for me again.
Yeah, just all of the that
Yeah.
sucks. Like the benefits, some of the positives from the pandemic early on just gone.
Exactly. What about you, man? Are you LA or New York? Where's your heart?
LA right now.
Yeah.
Like I have talked about moving to Austin, Texas for a couple months just till this thing wraps up.
Mm.
But numbers are going up there, so I'm gonna wait it out a little bit.
Makes sense.
Maybe rethink that and maybe revisit that idea in March or April.
Why Austin?
Cause their comedy clubs are open there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got
Which
it.
nothing here, nothing in New York. Like
That's true. Yeah.
which the benefit to LA right now versus New York is, as far as stage time, at least I'm able to run material on a sidewalk or in a park.
Right.
Which yeah.
Right. Makes sense.
Which has Up for Nothing or Cover Your Idols been able to at least get together in some sort of safe capacity to play music?
Yeah. Cover Your Idols has not.
Okay.
But I somehow during the pandemic, I was able to. I guess another benefit of the pandemic. I found this practice space that used to be an old woodworking facility, warehouse, I guess, that turned into like 40 something practice rooms. So I joined for a little while another cover band that was an actual cover band, not punk covers. And they were practicing in there, and I was like, oh, this place is really cool. So I'm like, how do you get a room? Like, how do you rent a room here? So whatever, I went through the steps and I rented a room, completely renovated it. I put down carpet, painted the walls, bought all the equipment, bought a PA system, bought amps, bought everything, and completely like set it up. And now I'm renting that out to other bands.
Wow.
So I'm paying rent to be there, and I'm also renting it out to 6 other bands. So Up for Nothing's practice day, or my practice day, I should say, is Sunday. And every other day of the week, there's a different band in there, and they have 24-hour access and for the day that they have. So it's kind of been cool to do that and have a place to go that's can be open all the time because it's mine, you know. It's 24 hours. So the thing is, you know, Steven moved upstate and Tom just had a kid. So
yes,
it's been hard to get together. But which is fine because like I'm using that time to write anyway. And then when we can get together, we do, and we play a little bit for as long as we can, and we move on. But it's been interesting to like use this time to like practice and write. And I will say also, like, it's the first time like I've written an Up for Nothing or try to write an Up for Nothing record where we weren't an active band. So there wasn't like anything to rush the process along. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Like,
yeah.
As far as I don't know what I never knew the creative process for Up for Nothing was
yeah.
Did you guys sit down together and essentially contribute each other's voices to create this thing before going into the studio? I don't know if that makes.
It's a good question. I mean, usually it would start with me, and then I would bring some form of an idea of a song or a part of a song or a chorus or something. And I'd bring that to everyone else. And then from there, we would all like chime in and say, we should do this, play that twice, you know, add this part. And then it would just really spiral from there. But the idea would start with me, and then it would actually become a thing once everyone else heard it and put in their 2 cents.
Wow.
So it's cool. It's been cool to like have the time to like come up with an idea for a song, like listen to it a bunch on my own. And then, cause it's not like I have a band waiting for me every week. Right. So I would go back myself. Right. And like rework some things on my own, which I never did before. Like it was always like, I had this thing, here it is. What do y'all think? Let's play it and see what happens. But instead of doing that, like I just have this time to like re-listen. I like that part, but I don't love it. How could I make it better? Right. And then I'm recording them at home and then sending them out to everyone else.
Okay.
And then we're getting together, and then when we do get together, that's when everyone's ideas come in. So it's different. It's been different this way, but cool to have the time to like really make sure I like everything, you know?
Right on. So when you record, do you record like just like an acoustic and vocals, or do you do like garage band it out with a little bit of a drum track?
Love it. Yeah. So previously, for years, it was just me and an acoustic. That's how every song started. But I got a interface during the pandemic, and I've fallen in love with that thing. It's been so awesome to like have a full band, you know, at my disposal without having a band at all.
Yeah.
You know,
nobody to butt heads with.
Exactly. Like I create the whole drum track, play bass, play guitar, and sing, and then I send it out. And I'm like, yo, this is where we're at. And then everyone would chime in and say like, oh, that part's really cool, or this one could be better. It's been great. It's been really interesting. But on that note, we're writing a new record, which is cool.
Right on. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah. And it's been fun. It's been a fun process, fun creative process, especially during the pandemic. And a lot of the songs are like, the record is called Escape Route. And a lot of the songs are going to be based on the premise of like being trapped. And that's kind of like how we all kind of feel in a way, you know, during the pandemic, and like
right now
trying to escape a situation, or your own thoughts, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your mind could wander to ugly and depressing places right now.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody is a stranger to that.
Yeah, exactly.
And as far as escaping goes, I back in July, I took a drive. I was going to go on a 3-day road trip, and I drove up to Lake Tahoe, and which is like maybe like 400 miles north of LA.
Okay.
And I like refreshed the news, and I saw, there's a surge happening, and this is the beginning of the July surge for LA, and I was like, you know what? I'm going back down. I don't want to risk getting anybody sick.
Yeah, of course.
And like being up there, I sort of realized this is not something you could escape. This is a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
We are all, I don't know if, I don't like the phrase we're all in this together, because I think everybody has their set of circumstances. Everybody has an ability to deal with differently, but we all, for all intents and purposes, are in this together.
Yeah, and there's so few things that applies to, but you know what I mean? Having of all of us being something together, but this is definitely one of those things. Like, it's everywhere. You can't escape it.
An earthquake, you drive 200 miles away, you're out of the devastation.
Right. Exactly. This is like wherever you go, it follows you, and especially for you and me, I guess, because LA's a hot spot. New York City is a hot spot. So even if you go to a non-hot spot, you're coming from a hot spot, right? So
there's nothing. You're just dragging all that trash with you.
Exactly. So it's been interesting. Like we've been trying to go get out as much as we can too. Like we went to Lake Minnewaska and Bear Mountain, and
it's a beautiful place.
Places like that, you know, like just to try to get out a little bit. But even that, like, we're bringing New York City with us. So it's like, you know, but we get tested all the time. At least once a week. We have a testing center like down the block from us. That's pretty quick. New York City Health and Hospitals. And
how many tests are you up to?
I think in total, maybe 20.
Okay. I got my 11th test today, or 11th test yesterday. Negative.
Got it. Yeah.
Have you gotten antibody tests?
Yeah, I got an antibody test way back. So when I guess in March, I had jury duty in March. I think it was like March 8th or something. And I did like 3 days in jury duty, and then pretty much the city shut down right after that.
Yeah.
But right after my 3rd day of jury duty, my last day, I got super sick, like really crazy sick. Like I couldn't even move. My body hurt. I had fever. I was sweating. And then the city shut down. I thought I had it at that point, but there was only like one confirmed case in New York City at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I had it and it just wasn't confirmed, or maybe a bunch of people had it and it just wasn't confirmed. So I did get the antibody test to see like if that was the case, and I guess I just had the flu, ironically, right at the same time where it all happened. But I didn't have any antibodies, and I was negative for COVID. So
you know the trick to getting a free antibody test is donating blood, right?
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
I did not know that until recently.
Yeah, that makes sense though, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, my primary doctor, when I went to him for the first time after like the huge spike, he was like, "We're gonna do antibody tests." He's doing that on everyone's blood work now, just for peace of mind for people, which is smart.
That's how my mom found out she had the antibodies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, both my parents, they had it. They suspect they visited me at the end of January, and they suspect they might have gotten it like on the plane back.
Interesting. Were they sick at all or no?
No. Yeah, I have eternal gratitude for that because
of course, yeah.
I keep hearing stories. It's I'm nervous that in the next couple weeks this disease is going to hit closer to home than I'd like to.
Yeah,
than I would like it to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's my brother contracted it. My niece, nephew, and my sister-in-law, they were all asymptomatic, but they all had it. So
yeah,
it's crazy, man. It's cases like that that I think throw people off a little bit, because it's like, I think that's what makes certain people feel like they can let their guard down.
Yes, exactly.
I know that my cousin had it, no symptoms. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm done with this, right? Like, it's not the crazy part about this is the unknown, right? And that's the scary part. It's like, sure, you might be fine and your family might be fine, but they also might not, and they also could die, right? So
who's to say I don't have diabetes? I mean, for God's sakes, I just came back from Denny's. So like...
God bless.
But it's just most of the cases from my friend group have been pretty mild. I know a couple people who've got it moderately. My friend Kurt, who he did the podcast a couple days ago. He just had it, and he has a little bit of like a lingering cough after a couple weeks. And he's a healthy guy who runs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he ran track in high school.
Gotcha.
And it's like, I don't want to. Yeah, it's something I don't want to risk.
Yeah, I mean, no rhyme or reason to who it affects and why, right? So
we're so close.
Exactly. So I got like I don't know. My second shot is mid-February, and then they say 2 weeks after that I should be okay.
Okay.
But even with the shot, it's 95%. So who knows? Like,
that's still the flu vaccine 50%.
Exactly. Right. So we'll see.
Like, I have a good feeling that in the next 3 years, like, COVID-19 is going to be wiped out just on the grounds that if most people have the vaccine, it won't have hosts to survive.
Yeah, and that's the scary part there, man. It's like, I don't know that most people are going to get the vaccine.
Yeah, that is, because there's still So even some of my even a lot of my friends like are
same here, right? Yeah. They don't trust it, for whatever reason. Like, I'm not judging anyone for their thoughts, but it's that type of thinking that's gonna keep the virus present. You know what I mean?
I think I told this to I spoke to my friend Rishi in the last podcast. I think I told this to him. One of my friends, she made an interesting point, like, for those skeptical about the vaccine over how quick they were able to make it. Yeah. Think of like the advancement just in computing power, or the amount of mathematical equations they could run through almost instantaneously.
Yeah, right.
Versus like back in like the 1950s, 1960s when they were coming up with the polio vaccine.
Totally. And that's a great point, actually.
Yes.
And that's very valid.
That gives me a little bit of comfort going into it, and
I don't know, man. Like I just like I get it. I know that there are risks. I know that it may have been developed quickly and maybe not tried on enough people before given to the mass. But you know, it is what it is. Like I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be in a constant state of worry in terms of like, and my thing is like, look, if I get it, I'm fairly confident that I would be okay, but I don't want to be responsible for giving it to anyone else. Like, you know, that's my fear, you know, because I'm not sure who else wouldn't be okay. And I'm not even sure that I would, but at the same time, like, I just don't want to be responsible for someone else being sick or having to be put on a ventilator at any point in their life. You know, like, that's not okay. So,
it's like, it's just insane to me. Like I think about this, that, so like a year ago, it's January, a year ago, like coronavirus, it was something that was just entering the news. It wasn't something, it wasn't a household name yet.
Exactly.
And it was just like this thing that was just starting to make its rounds. And then like 2 months later, God, like, I haven't seen a live band since March.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Fest got canceled.
Yeah.
Or postponed.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird to think like that could happen here, you know, but here we are. And at the same time, like this year also flew by for me. I don't know about you, but like it's like, what happened? Like, how has it already been a year since that, you know?
Everything that happened in the last year feels like it happened just yesterday.
Yeah, that's
an
what I mean.
Eternity at the same time.
Exactly. It's like, it's so strange, you know, because you would feel like most people were home, right? So you would think like time would drag a little bit for a lot of people because they weren't doing much, but somehow it just flew by. It's like, I can't explain it.
Well, what was the last band you got to see?
Very interesting question. Last band I got to see was the Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Yeah. That is quite an answer.
It was awesome. I had a great time. And that was early March. That was like maybe March 3rd or 4th or something. And that was it. Last band I got to see. How about you?
Right. Dillinger 4 at Soda Bar.
That's awesome. Soda Bar, San Diego?
Yes.
It's funny because that's the place we play too.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, that's where we played for Awesome Fest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now imagine D4 playing there completely at capacity, just a bunch of fat dudes with beards pounding PBRs.
Beards and beers, you know?
Yeah, they go in hand in hand. And like, if I knew that what was going to unfold, what was about to happen was going to happen, I would have put in a way more concerted effort to have fun.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Where was that? When was that? March or February?
March. I want to say 5th. March 3rd or 5th.
Gotcha.
And I remember it was May 15th. I was supposed to see, I don't know if you listen to any of these bands, Veruca Salt.
Yeah.
That Dog.
No.
Oh, they're one of my favorite bands.
That Dog. Interesting.
That Dog.
They were playing with Veruca Salt or separate? Interesting.
It was Veruca Salt, That Dog, Red Cross. It was supposed to be a memorial show for an ALS fundraiser for Kim Shattuck, lead singer of the Muffs.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And pandemic happened, and like it was a couple days. It was like, all right, like they're lowering capacities. It wasn't like gatherings were completely banned yet.
Yeah, right.
And then day before, it was like, yep, canceled.
I will say the last show that I had tickets for, I didn't go to. This was like right before, I think the day before New York City just shut down. So it might have been the 13th. But I mentioned I was super sick right after my jury duty. So I was still getting over being sick. So I didn't end up going, but it was the Dashboard Confessional 20-year anniversary or something. I forget what it was, 20 or 25 years at Irving. And
for them.
Yeah. So I ended up selling my tickets on StubHub the night of, because I was like, maybe I'll feel better and I'll go, but I still wasn't feeling right, so I didn't go. But then that's the last show that happened. The next day or 2 days later, it was just done.
Yeah, I know one of my friend Danny, the last show he got to go to, which this is an awesome one, the Get Up Kids at Revolution Bar in Amityville, which have you ever been there?
I have, yeah.
Very, very tiny place for a band like the Get Up Kids.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was
Get Up Kids were on that dashboard bill, by the way.
They were, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I believe was May 12th, and to go to the final live show essentially before the world completely shut down.
You mean March 12th?
Yeah, March. What did I say?
May. Gotcha.
No, not May 12th.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
That was about the time I was gonna go see. It was Lagwagon, Less Than Jake, and the Bouncing Souls.
Oh yeah, man.
Paramount.
I had tickets for that too.
Yeah, I was gonna plan a trip to New York around that.
Yep.
But I did get to see Lagwagon September of last year.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
How were they?
Tight as usual.
Yeah, that's a
face to face. They were co-headlining.
I remember that. I think.
Yeah, Make War. They were the opener.
Oh wow.
And I'm trying to remember if there was any other. I'm trying to remember if that was a four bill band or 4 bill show.
Pretty cool there on Fat though.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
There's a couple bands that I feel like I got to watch sort of start to gain traction and then make it to the level of Fat Records, and Make War is one of them and Direct Hit is the other.
Totally, yeah.
Like awesome. Direct Hit, I remember like at Fest they were starting to get buzz, and whatever show they played, there was like a line out the door to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think Dollar Signs is now in that.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Dude, Dollar Signs is label mates now with Less Than Jake.
Is that true?
Dude, they just signed a Pure Noise.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, good for them, man. Is it still? Are they still? Were they a duo?
They no, I believe they're a 4-piece now.
They were a duo though, yeah.
But I feel like it was Eric and Dylan were like the two core members. Like they were definitely. I feel like they're the two consistent members of Dollar Signs. I could be wrong.
Okay. Because I thought I remember, maybe they just did an acoustic set when we played Charlotte when you came.
Yes. Fun tour.
I feel like there were just two, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm trying to I don't even remember the venue in Charlotte.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just remember. I don't know if you were there for this when we went to. I believe it's called the Diamond Bar. It's like a diner where they had like the triple pimento cheeseburger, which I will argue that the triple pimento cheeseburger at this one diner is one of the top 5 burgers in America. And then we set off fireworks out front.
Wait, was I there?
Possibly. I'm trying to remember.
Where was that, in Charlotte?
Yes.
No, we left you there.
Okay, you left me. Okay.
Yeah, we left you there. So
that sounds so. Oh yeah, we left you in Charlotte.
Yeah, that was the last. I think that was the last show of the tour. And
yeah, that was the last show that I remember.
We drove home, and you stayed to hang out with those dudes.
Yeah.
So we definitely weren't there for the fireworks and the burger.
Okay. It was a very good burger, and I strongly recommend next time in Charlotte. If I can remember the name of the place. I remember it was in the Commonwealth area, Commonwealth District. I believe
that was a big food tour.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, we got to hit Melt in Cincinnati.
Yep.
Did we get wings when we were in Fredonia?
Probably. I don't remember.
I know we were talking about driving the half hour to Anchor Bar in Buffalo, but just didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember a cat scratching at my face in the middle of the night.
Always fun. Always fun. Nick Carp.
Yes. Shout out to Nick Carp.
I actually reached out to him a couple of days ago. He's gonna do a photo shoot for our new record.
Yeah.
For us. which is awesome. That's another dude that's like doing great things. Sure, it's not in music, but his work is really getting out there.
I know he was a concert photographer for God knows how long, and he did a shoot for a mutual friend, Samantha Ruddy. So I don't know what is he doing now? Like, is he pursuing photography like full on professionally?
It seems that way. I haven't spoke to him about it that exactly, but he was before pandemic. Obviously, he was taking shots of like everybody at every festival across the country.
Yeah.
And then he was doing wrestling too. So he was doing wrestling events like WWE and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it seemed like pre-pandemic, like that was definitely his full-time thing.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those people forget, like a concert photographer is a very, very important piece of the concert equation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's like the older I get, the more I appreciate all the dynamics that goes into
all of it,
producing a concert.
Yeah, it's true. And it's I have a different appreciation for that too after I don't know what year this was. The last year of the Warped Tour, 2016 or 17.
Okay.
Definitely 17.
Did you go?
Yeah, I had a friend that I made when I worked at Guitar Center, too.
That's right, you worked at Guitar Center. Wow.
Yeah, worked at Guitar Center for a couple of years, but one of these bands, Big D and the Kids Table. One of my closest friends at Guitar Center now plays with Big D, right. And then another friend was in a different band that was playing that year. So I was able to get backstage passes, and to see the circus that is the traveling Warped Tour. It's like it's fascinating. Like every day, all the setup and breakdown that has to go into all the stages, all the gear. It's like absolutely fascinating.
I'm fascinated. God forbid they need guitar strings or
right.
Something like somebody has to go on a long drive, like look up a Guitar Center. And there was a stretch where the Warped Tour was happening without smartphones. Somebody had to go to all these weird places, like look up things in a completely unfamiliar city.
Yep. No, it's true, man. And they were telling me that like every day a different band from that stage is responsible for helping load the gear for that stage.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it every day it changes. Like if you're playing the Journey stage, right? Somebody from your band once a week is responsible for helping load the gear for that stage, you know?
Wow.
Which is interesting, you know? It's just fascinating. Like, and it's like 17 trucks filled with gear and stages and, you know, it wild, really wild.
I feel like the model has shifted in terms of, there are bands that they don't necessarily tour anymore, but they'll mostly do festivals.
Yeah.
But like none of the festivals are like essentially a road circus, like a road act.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't know. Like Warped Tour could have theoretically been the only one.
Yeah.
Warped Tour, Ozfest.
Ozfest, yeah. And then for a while, not a while, but what's that? Lollapalooza was doing that too.
I didn't know they were doing a road show.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, it used to be a road show, and then now it's just only in Chicago every year.
Yeah.
But for years it was a road show. But yeah, like you're right. Like those were the only ones that were like, it's like a circus, you know. You just gotta start fresh every single day. It's wild. It really is wild.
And so something like the fest, the way Tony, he was able to mobilize so many people with the same love for live music, the same love for what overall is a very underappreciated subgenre of punk music.
Yeah, right.
And like was able to turn it into this incredible thing where you see bands that you normally don't get to see every day.
Yeah, it's true.
People all over the world.
Yeah,
just showing up.
It is really true. And it's also like from a band perspective, like one of my favorite memories of being in a band, like look, you've been part of like the touring part of what we've done, right? So
Yes.
you meet different people
Yes.
in different cities and states, right? And you associate those people with those cities and states. Like, you know, if you're playing Chicago, you're going to see certain people, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't wait to get to Chicago. We're going to hang out with this dude and we're going to go to this place and we're going to see this, right? And then you go to Charlotte and you associate those people and you're like, oh, cool. Tomorrow we're going to see these people, right? And then for us, it extended even further because we got to Europe, right? And we got to play in Europe and see different people and associate those people with those countries. The last time that we played Fest, which was our second to last show, everybody in the same room, right? That is such a surreal feeling. Like to see all the people that you've associated with other cities and countries all together, hanging out, singing along. Like that was the most amazing thing that I've ever felt as a band, you know, like that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can't even imagine.
It was awesome. And as a band, like, you have that feeling too, right? It's like everyone that you know is all in one place together, hanging out, that you would have never have met, or, you know, it's just the weirdest, coolest feeling, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, God, man, to just watch, just watch you guys, all these young bands with like the same love, just like, it's just, it's incredible.
Yeah. And you'll never get that anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like, we could play a million shows, but it will never be that. It'll never be people that you met in Italy and people that you met and people that you met in New Jersey, all in the same place at the same time. Like, it only happens there. It never happens anywhere else, you know?
Yeah, bands, they plan tours surrounding Fest for that reason.
Exactly.
You get to meet people from all over the world, just drink out of pineapples and slam. God.
Yeah. No, it's really a special thing, man, for fans and bands alike. Like, it's a very surreal thing. And like, you know, the coolest thing is like, now that I know that feeling, when I see like other bands that I like know personally on a stage at Fest, I know what they're feeling, right? And I can't stop smiling for them because I know how cool it is what they're experiencing at that moment, you know? Like, it's just
goosebumps.
It totally does. It really does. It's just a very special like situation, you know? Long live the Fest.
There's like not even just in the Fest setting, but when I see D4 and they start playing the opening riff to Gainesville, it gives you goosebumps.
Totally.
Like it just like you feel it. Like it's like you feel some sense of nostalgia. Like for good weather, damned good food.
Yeah. You're right.
I miss Reggae Shack. I hope they're doing okay. I miss Boca Fiesta.
Reggae Shack. I know that what was that? That brunch spot that I used to go to all the time.
Trying to remember.
It was like on a corner. They had like killer like everything. I forget what it was called.
Specific.
But they closed down. Recently.
There was 2 pizza places in Gainesville that just closed within the past year.
Okay. Was one of the ones that hosted shows, like outdoor shows?
I think one of them did. The other was the pizza place right across from the Holiday Inn.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what place that just crossed my mind? I probably haven't thought about in years.
Mm-hmm.
Pelican Brothers.
The Pelican Brothers.
The food truck that did the chicken waffle.
The waffle.
With the gravy.
That was the best. That was really the best.
Cause that was the first meal that I had the first time I went to Fest, and that was the first night I saw Off With Their Heads.
Oh yeah, at that. What was that? Where was that spot?
I think it might have been called something else then. I believe it's called High Dive now.
High Dive. Yeah. Yep. It was called that then.
It was okay.
That was cool. I was with you at that, I think.
Yes, you were the guy who first like was like, "Hey, Ian, there's this music festival down in Gainesville, Florida. You want to go for a ride?"
Yeah, oh yeah, we were with Nazarene that year too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Nazarene. Let me tell you about Nazarene. She works for Microsoft. She got offered a crazy job. She moved to Seattle.
Good for her.
She's doing really well.
Yeah.
Really, really well. Super smart girl, man, and awesome. Yeah, so she's in Seattle now.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's God, I have so many fond memories of like and this year, like every year, I plan on like I always say to myself, I'm going to send a tape to Tony. It hasn't happened yet. I'd like to do their comedy stage one day. That's one of my small because I have a lot of friends who've done the comedy stage. And
do you have any relationship with him or no?
Not yet. No.
All right, I can help you with that.
Yeah, one day. Once I get the tape.
True. One step at a time.
Yeah. Whoa, slow your guns there. But every time like somebody manages to get on Fest, every time a comedian I know gets on Fest and who isn't into not necessarily punk rock, but just that very specific scene.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Yeah.
Like the most they'll know is like, oh yeah, Less Than Jake and Against Me. They're playing Fest this year, and it's like, oh, have you ever listened to Dollar Signs? How about Masked Intruder? And
right.
God, those Masked Intruder records, they keep getting better and better.
Oh yeah,
tight bands.
It's true.
Yeah, and they're another one. When I first started going to Fest, they were playing like maybe not even a bar that was like at capacity, and when they popped, they
when it caught on.
They're just there's something very, very catchy and accessible about their music.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah,
new record is great.
Yeah, man. Have you got like have you been listening to lots of records during the pandemic?
I've been super busy during the pandemic, so I thankfully managed. I have 2 jobs, managed to keep both of them during the pandemic. One of which went. No, it doesn't even include that. Right.
No, wow,
so I've been doing that plus that and finishing school. Finished my last master's degree in December, just last month. So I have been super busy during the pandemic. So I mean, casually, but not like. I haven't had the time to dedicate like most people have.
Sit down and listen to.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that's one benefit of living in LA where you have to drive is you have all this time to listen to all these incredible. Did you ever get around to listening to that Ozma record?
Oh, snap. I did not. I forgot that we had that conversation. But Ozma. So that's something that you recently got into, right?
Yeah, in the past, like in the past year, there's a couple of bands that really stuck out. Like I got into during the pandemic, and Ozma was one of them.
Interesting. Are they? They're not still around, or are they?
They just right before the pandemic, they played their 20-year anniversary.
Oh wow! So are they like consistent, or?
I don't know if they're consistent. I know. I want to say it's the singer of Ozma. He currently is the touring guitarist for. I don't even think touring. I think he was doing stuff with Matt Sharp, and I don't know if you ever listened to the Rentals.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
that makes sense.
If you're into the Rentals, you'll love that dog. It's,
makes sense.
The two.
Oh, okay.
You remember Friends of P?
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Those two girls. They're in a. Those two women. They're a part of that dog. Listen to Retreat from the Sun and get back to me. That's another one. You have homework now.
All right, love it. That's cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands.
But yeah, I think I was telling you when you were telling me about Ozma, like my intro to Ozma was seeing them with Weezer and Saves the Day, in 2002, I think.
That's that is a lineup.
Yeah, that was right when Stay What You Are came out, so it was that tour for them.
Okay.
For Saves the Day.
What? Oh yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna say that was cool. And I know that Ozma has done a couple things with Weezer over the years, so it makes sense that they have a connection to Matt Sharp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading about. I was reading a little bit about Ozma when I got into them, and Rivers Cuomo, he said there are two essential albums that every Weezer fan should listen to, and Rock and Roll Part 3 is one, and the other is Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
That makes sense.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're Ozma, they're the closest thing to Weezer that they do have a different, unique voice.
Yeah. Weezer's coming out with a record in like 3 days or something, right?
I did not know that.
So
is this Van Weezer?
No, not even. One that's coming out before that.
They're just belting out records at this point.
It's the wildest thing. So that's Van Weezer scheduled for May.
Okay.
And it's weird. I thought it was weird because they announced that before the pandemic that record was coming out. That's like who announces a record that far in advance, like 2 years in advance almost. But
Axl Rose.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so I just saw them post today that they have Okay Human, I think it's called, or Greetings Human. It's an alien and a human or something. But the first single's coming out in a couple of days, and that's coming out before Van Weezer.
Okay.
Which is very interesting.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah. I love Weezer, man. Like, I know they get a lot of slack, and they definitely have made some bad records, but that is a band that I just love.
They've never made anything that's like completely unlistenable. Like, I feel like Rivers Cuomo always maintains something close to what the Blue Album was. Which granted, like the Blue Album and Pinkerton, like the Blue Album to me is such like an iconic record. It's so hard to live up to.
Yeah. And I get that. And a Pacific Daydream, I think, is probably the worst record that they've put out.
Okay.
That's definitely not a great record, but
I love the White Album.
White Album is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the one before that, Everything's Gonna Be All Right in the End.
Yep. That
was great too. Like, those two records like totally rejuvenated that band, I think.
Okay.
But the ones after that, after the White Album, not so great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have medium to high expectations to low expectations. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised by this record. I could feel it.
Have you heard the cover record, the Teal album?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm very partial to their cover of Electric Light Orchestra, Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah, gotcha. Partial in a good way, or?
No, in a very good way.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I think that they kept the songs pretty true to the songs, like they didn't change that much about them.
No, it sounds more towards the voice of what Weezer is now versus it doesn't sound like anything of like, it doesn't have that same rawness of the Blue Album, but
sure. Yeah, for sure. No, I thought it was good. It was a fun, and that was another like random record that they just came out with, the Teal, the cover record.
No warning.
No warning. It was just like, oh yeah, they were doing the Black Album, and right before that, they were like, oh yeah, by the way, here's a cover record.
They got the confidence and commitment.
Yeah.
Not even like, there are so many people who are involved in in producing the Teal album. Like, I would imagine to keep that a secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Even then, a guy like Jeff Rosenstock, for example, is someone who just drops albums randomly without any warning, and it's like, good for him.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's funny when a band like Weezer does that too, because they've never been a confident band in that sense, in terms of their personalities. But I love when they display it. It's great.
Yeah, I would imagine like the fact that the Blue Album was one of the most iconic albums of the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, it rivals Nevermind to some degree.
Sure, and Dookie.
And Dookie.
Yeah.
1994 was an incredible year for music.
That is a fact. That is a fact. How
Yeah,
old
but
were you? Are you 85? Are you 87? What year were you born?
86. I was like, no, I'm not 85. Oh.
You're 86. I'm 86 too.
Okay, right on. What? Your birthday was New Year's Day, right?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. I was close.
So I'm the last day of 86.
Okay, so wow, I'm older than you.
Yep, you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your sign? I'm an Aries.
Cap.
That means something in Hollywood.
Makes sense. I'm a good old Capricorn over here.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy we did this. Like, it's just been forever. And
yeah, dude.
The second, I'm even planning, I hope the numbers are a fraction of what they are now, but some point early in the summer, going on a road trip to New York.
Cool.
L&B Spumoni Garden. We're doing it.
Hey, man, I'm down.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug? Instagrams, Twitters?
Nah, I mean, we talked about the record. I mean,
yeah,
we're on the internet. If people are interested, they can find us. But
all right, there's gonna be a little social media bar I'll put up for nothing's.
Love it.
Social and all that, dude.
Cool.
Thank you so much, man. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, dude. This is awesome.
Rolling.
Rate and subscribe.